There was no turning back for Harry, and now the kid was pouting for his understudy status. Destroy the reputation the royal family has built for him. Welcome to our YouTube channel Princess Diana News. Not all stations have a problem with the characters they were born into. Such as Queen Elizabeth's father, the second Prince Albert. He was the spearhead of Edward VIII, and when Edward decided to abdicate, Albert stepped forward and became king. Despite the fact that he really didn't want to. So Albert was crowned King George VI, and he always wanted to serve the monarchy, although he didn't want to serve the monarchy because King Albert was a great example of a good spear. Prince Alfred, now the Duke of Saga, is likely to replace Edward VII, today's Edward, who has 2 years to go on the throne. Frankly, this meant that Alfred never had a good chance of becoming king. Anyway, he married a kind Russian lady and they lived happily ever after in England. In my opinion, not all spas are scary people. Princess Margaret isn't scary either. In fact, Princess Margaret's only problem was that she fell in love with the wrong man. She is in love with her father, Peter Townsend, 15 years her senior, but he is actually still married. Peter Townsend is now considering divorcing his wife. It was supposed to happen, they were getting married, but Queen Elizabeth stepped in and told Margaret no, which really broke their hearts. There was a strict rule in the church against marrying divorced people, and Margaret really wanted her sister to break that rule a little. Of course, the Queen was heartbroken when she said no. I know the Queen really wanted to give her sister a happy private life, but she couldn't do it at the time. However, Prince enjoyed his life while still being very close to his sister and mother. So Margaret never did anything to harm the monarchy. Prince Andrew was also a long-time supporter and there was nothing wrong with him when he was younger. He deserved it. He was good. At times he was overconfident, bordering on arrogant, and once his naval career was over, he completely lost the meaning of life. That's when all this trouble started. Still, Andrew takes responsibility for his role. His aim was to humiliate the monarchy, and when the late Queen resigned from royal duties, Andrew eventually resigned. He is still a member of the royal family, but King Charles has made it clear that Andrew will never be a working member of the royal family again. Unfortunately, it happened, and maybe it at least should have happened. Nothing is stopping Andrew from continuing to enjoy life, but Harry is a completely different story. We now think he's in trouble. His mother wrote that he was constantly in trouble. Harry's grades at school were not very good, and one of his teachers publicly stated that she wrote all of Harry's homework except for one sentence, which was the only sentence Harry was able to write as a child. Harry really liked heavy parties and drugs, and when his mother died, it only added to the fire. Drugs and drink were a big part of Harry's life when he was young, when he was a teenager, and when he reached his 20s, his ability to party only increased. Harry had a very depressing reputation. Her lovers did not want to stay with her because she acted like a diva. Harry also had issues with jealousy, but he usually tried to hide it from others, and Harry was known to have some interesting sexual desires that he easily indulged. There are also reports that Harry became very violent toward sex workers during his time in the army. He's gone, he's definitely a poor man. Prince George is the heir apparent to Wales and Princess Charlotte is the heir apparent. I think Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are very aware of how they raise their children. They want everyone to feel like they have a real purpose in life and that their goal is to be successful in something that interests them, and they also find that they have to support each other as Harry's public opinion becomes increasingly negative. I really hope he finally sees this as a wake-up call to really think about himself, but you know what? I really don't think Harry has the mental capacity to change. It seems he can't help it. He always gets his way. It's almost like he's genetically programmed to kill himself, just like his mother. He and Meghan are just a perfect match and they will continue to wreak havoc throughout their lives when Princess Margaret is a surrogate. Things were much stricter, both what the Queen was allowed to do and what women were allowed to do. A lot has changed since then. Now, Andrew had an appointed job in the monarchy as a business ambassador, and he could have kept it if not for his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. I really think Harry thrived in the military structure. He should have stayed there, but the thing about it was Harry did not have the education to go beyond the rank that he had attained, and he said that he didn't want desk duty, but he could have been a training instructor or something like that. Harry could have created an amazing life for himself promoting the game's Paralympic sport in general, and he also could have focused on his charitable interests in Africa. Actually, many younger sons of the British aristocracy have developed their own interests and they have pursued them, and they don't have to worry about the burden of managing these large landed estates. But it looks like Harry was just too spoiled and too lazy to do something like that. Also, if Harry had just taken the time to sit down with his brother and explained reasonably and calmly that he was unhappy and that he wanted to look for a career outside of the monarchy, I'm sure they would have been more than understanding. But see, I think Harry wanted to be a rebel, which could be why he settled so quickly on marrying Meghan Markle. He knows that Meghan Markle is the most inappropriate woman he can find, and I think that's why he wants her. Now, I think he has no turning back. Harry has shown some serious character flaws. The reality is that he is desperate. Here's the thing, just look at Harry as Catherine was talking to someone else. I think his biggest problem is that he wanted Catherine. He wanted at least someone like him, but he couldn't find someone to marry him. Now I don't know exactly what it is about Harry, but it seems that no matter what it is, the driving force behind his desperation must always be the center of attention. Harry doesn't even have real privileges now that he just has a royal title. He has no respect for anything or anyone, and if Meghan Markle truly believes Harry respects her, then she is as crazy as he is. I mean, talk is pretty cheap. I think Harry is almost a bad narcissist. Like Meghan Markle in the past, we've always thought of Harry as just a fun, caring, sassy guy. But maybe it was narcissism rearing its ugly head. Even then, it's pretty clear that Harry inherited a genetic mental illness from his unstable mother, and without knowing his birth father's genetic health, it's impossible to accurately diagnose his condition, and perhaps even treat it. For Charles. And when it comes to the royal family, they don't survive every other child just because they have an older sister. Most people have more than one child, so it's not like Harry was loved any less than William. I don't think the royal family is any different than a normal family. Think of a farming family. They usually have a lot of equipment and they will have several children, and usually everything goes well. It is usually the oldest. So what do the other brothers do in such a family? Well, they don't do what Harry did. The problem is that, as the son of the king, Harry is such a pessimist. The world was at his feet, but Harry didn't see it, and didn't want to. The world was presented to him on a silver platter, and he was gone. Yes, I know he feels like he's been second best all the time, but isn't that more about him and the fact that he's not smart or has the skills that could provide him with a very successful career? My own? Just as he can be a doctor, so he can be an artist. It can be anyone. I'm not trying to say that Harry is useless, but seriously, what meaningful career could he have right now? What's so scary about being born with a golden spoon in your mouth? Stay in such beautiful hotels, play polo, meet all kinds of rich and famous people who travel all over the world, stay in the best hotels in the world. He claimed he felt sorry for his quartet. They had no choice, and then he kept complaining about being a substitute. I mean, if his father and brother were indeed trapped, shouldn't Harry be relieved? I suspect that if Harry had married a beautiful English girl who looked like Catherine, as his brother did, then he would have lived without expressing any of these feelings and remained close to his family. I don't blame Meghan for all of this. I mean, Harry is already an adult. He's almost 40, but I think she encouraged all his bad behavior. It's not without signs that she's encouraging him to show his true nature, but I think the royal family has done a really good job of presenting a good image of Harry to the public. We don't really see the dark and surly side of this. To be honest, while I'm tired of hearing sad stories about Harry when he had so much misery in the world, he just made himself seem more and more selfish and obsessed with himself, completely out of touch with reality. People in the world were far worse than Harry. How is he going to go down? Answer: they won't, What do you think about this? Please give me your thoughts in the section below and we can talk about Harry and the royal family. If you find my video helpful, don't forget to like and share with someone who might enjoy it, and don't be afraid to subscribe to the Princess Diana News channel for more videos in the future. Thanks for watching. I wish you a good weekend and see you in the next videos.